for the workshop. Okay, so I'm going to get started. My name's Jennifer Evans. I am a graduate student at Cal State Northridge in TESL, and I'm really excited to be here today to teach you. And I'm actually graduating this semester, so I'm really excited about that too. I'm a student like you. And I'm studying how to teach English as a second language. So let's get started. So today we're going to talk about conditional clauses. And okay, so what's the craziest thing that you would do to get the job of your dreams? So think about a dream job that you might have, and what's something really crazy that you would do. So this guy over here he's basically holding up like a sign that says, "Hire me, please." So he looks really desperate to get a job somewhere, right? So anyways, I want you to think about that a little bit. Okay, so there's a story here. It's called Maria's Dream Job, International Food Taster. So I'm going to read this story to you. A few years ago, Maria really wanted to get a job working as an international food taster. If I am hired as an international food taster, she thought, then I could get paid to travel the world eating delicious foods from different cultures. She really wanted to get the job, so she did something creative. She sent her cover letter and resume to the business owner with a fortune cookie attached. She asked the owner to open the fortune cookie, and inside it said, "If you hire me today, I promise you good fortune with your sales." The owner was so impressed and entertained that she decided to hire Maria. Unfortunately, the business closed down a year later, and the owner moved to Hong Kong. But the significant lesson we can take from this story is, by using creative and original ideas that stand out from the other job candidates, your application will be unique and you will have a better chance of getting hired. Okay, so what is a conditional clause? A conditional clause is a type of adverbial clause that states a hypothesis or condition. It can be real or not real. It can be imagined, kind of like a wish. And an adverbial clause, also known as an adverb clause, is a dependent clause used as an adverb in a sentence to show time, place, condition, concession, reason, purpose, or result. It begins with a subordinating conjunction like if, when, because, or although, and it usually includes a subject and a predicate. So, other subordinators, I want you to think of the word if. So there's other words that you can use to introduce the conditional clause. Those include provided that, on the condition that, as long as, even, in the case of. So conditional clauses tend to come at the beginning of complex sentences, but like other adverbial clauses, they may also come at the end. So let's look back at the story. And I want you to try looking through the story, looking through the text, and see if you can find where the conditional sentences are located. So, any idea, are there any language patterns that you notice in the story that might indicate there's a conditional clause in it? Any ideas? So remember, I told you to think of a word, the word if. So try to look for that word in the story.
The second line.
Yeah, okay, the second line. So this one here, right? So could you read it out loud?
If I am hired as an international food taster, she saw then I could get paid to travel the food, eating delicious foods from different countries.
Good, very good. Okay, so that's the first one, so good job with that. There is another one in the story, so can you find where the other one is located? And what are your names, by the way?
If you hire me today.
Right. If you hire me today, I promise you good fortune with your sales. So, and then also I want you to notice, do you know where the main clause is and where the subordinate clause is? So maybe we can go back to, oh, sorry. Well, let's just look for it because I don't think I have an indication here for an example. Okay, so so in the conditional sentence, this one, where do you think the main clause is located? So if I'm hired as an international food taster, then I could get paid to travel the world eating delicious foods from different cultures. So where is any idea where the main clause is compared to the subordinate or dependent clause? Okay, so I'll give you a hint. So the subordinate clause starts with if. So does anybody want to read the subordinate clause? If I'm hired, or if I'm hired as an international food taster. So that's the subordinate clause. So the main clause is here. I could get paid to travel the world eating delicious foods from different cultures. So that's like the main part that, has to be there. Okay, so let's go on to the next part. So if clauses. Conditional clauses or if clauses are used to express that the action in the main clause can only take place if a certain condition in the dependent clause is fulfilled. The main clause does not contain if. The subordinate clause does contain if. Okay, so as we discovered, this is where the conditional clauses are located. The one is highlighted, or not highlighted, it's just bolded in blue, and this one is in green. Okay, so now we're going to do a focused oral practice. So we're going to create conditional sentences expressing hope and wish by using the adverbial clause if to begin your sentence. So you can begin by making a simple wishful or hopeful sentence like, I wish that, so I wish that I were a millionaire. So then you change this part to if I were a millionaire, and then you add your main clause to create a full sentence. So if I were a millionaire, which is the subordinate clause, then I would buy the house of my dreams. So I would buy the house of my dreams is the main clause. If I were a millionaire, I would donate to my favorite charity. Okay, so now you're each gonna alternate. I'll give you an example of the first one of what I'd like you to do. So here we have a list of different jobs. And here are the job descriptions or responsibilities. So I want you to take turns saying each of these in the conditional form. So for example, if I were a veterinarian, I would care for sick animals. So does anybody want to try the second one? If I were a ballerina. Do you want to try that one? If I were ballerina, I would audition
for dance and
ensembles, like dance performances and yeah. Okay. So do you want to do the next one? Astronaut?
If I astronaut.
If I were.
Good.
Yeah.
Astronaut. I throw over to space.
Good. Okay. And the next one? I'll do the next one. Okay. If I were a rock star, I would perform songs with my band in rock concerts. Okay. And does anyone want to try the next one? So we have video game tester.
if I were video game tester, I test video games for balance.
Perfect. Okay, do you want to do the next one, firefighter?
If I were for firefighter,
Uh-huh.
I protect the public during emergencies.
Good. So we have basically the structure here is if I were, and then you don't want to forget the article. You have a veterinarian, a ballerina, an astronaut. So if I were a firefighter, and then you have I would protect the public during emergencies. So that's the structure of your of the subordinate or the conditional. So these are all the answers. So good job. Okay, so there's 3 types of conditional sentences. The one that we've been focusing on is the second one. So the one that you have experienced learning today is the unreal, impossible, or improbable conditional. So it's imagining that you have a job that you really want, and it probably won't come true, but it's like a wish. Okay, so we're also going to practice today the third conditional. So the difference between the second and the third conditional is instead of being more like an unreal or impossible situation, the third conditional is also unreal, but you express it in the past tense. Conditional 2 you express in the present tense, and conditional 3 also expresses regret. Do you know what regret means? Like, oh darn, I forgot I left my keys in my car. I regret that I left my keys in my car. So if I hadn't left my keys in my car, I wouldn't have gotten locked out of my car. So these are some examples here. With conditional 3, expressing regret, if I had gotten a raise at work, I would have traveled to Europe last summer. So that's in the past. Conditional 2, we've practiced that. So if I got a raise at work, I would travel to Europe this summer. Okay. So now we're going to talk about some more dream jobs. So this guy is a burrito taster. That's a pretty cool job. I would love to have that job. I wish that I were a burrito taster. If I were a burrito taster, I would taste delicious burritos all day long. I would earn money by eating my favorite food. I would never have to cook again. I would also have glamour and excitement in every bite. Okay, so we're going to use this structure, just like the last one, to talk about some dream jobs. Okay, so if I were a personal shopper, I would, and then you say all of these. So what are your names again, by the way? Sorry, I didn't catch your names. Yeah.
Meg.
Meg?
Yeah.
And
Bob.
Bob. Meg and Bob. Okay, great. Thank you. So Meg, do you want to use the conditional statement to say, pretend like you want to be a personal shopper, or express your desire to be a personal shopper. So if I were.
Personal shopper.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and then you use those. Good.
Would plan outfit for Subway.
Good. Perfect. Okay, let's do another one. Chocolatier. That looks like a nice job. So, Bob, do you want to do the chocolatier example?
If I were a chocolater, I would craft tasty treats and desserts and candies.
Good. Perfect. Okay, next one. Water slide tester. That's a pretty cool job too, isn't it?
Is it a job?
What's that?
Is it a real job?
I think it is. I think it is, yeah. The examples that I put up here are ones that I found on the internet. I just did a search for very unusual jobs.
Okay.
So this is an actual job. Okay, so Meg, do you want to try? Oh, you already did one, right? Or no, you did the last one, right?
Yeah.
So Meg, do you want to try this one?
If I were water slide tester, I would travel the world water parks.
Good, okay. Movie critic, that's a nice job too. You can see lots of movies. Bob, do you want to try that one?
If I were a movie critic,
Uh-huh.
I would analyze trends in movie ticket sales.
Perfect. Good job.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What is critic?
Critic is like
Reviewing?
Reviewing, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good synonym for critic. Yeah. Evaluating and judging different movies. Okay. Private island caretaker. Meg, how about you try this one?
If I were private island caretaker, I would prepare island for owners.
Very good. Excellent. Okay. So remember, we're talking about 3 different types of conditionals. So we've just practiced the second one, but now we're going to talk about the third conditional. Okay. So we have some rules for conditional 3. So you have if, and then a past perfect structure, and then would have plus a past participle. So if you had studied all these grammar pages, you would have passed the exam. Darn, I should have studied. So you cannot alter or change the past. So you didn't study in the past, something that you cannot change. So something that you can't change now, so you didn't pass the exam. And it's imaginary, it didn't happen. So if you had, these are other examples here, if you had been more careful, you wouldn't have had an accident. If you had studied, I don't know why it says if you had studied, they would pass the exam. But anyways, if you had studied, you probably wouldn't pass the exam. Yeah, okay. So if I had known, I wouldn't have done that. Okay, so these are expressing, as I mentioned, expressing regret. And it's also something that you can use to express, to make excuses. You can also change the word order, so the if part, instead of being in the front, you can put it over here. So for example, you would have passed the exam if you had studied all of these grammar pages. I wouldn't have left my job if I had known how difficult it is to find another one. She would have gone to your birthday party if she hadn't been sick. Okay, so now we're gonna watch a video, and you're gonna fill in some blanks in this worksheet. You can have one if you want. Okay, you're welcome. So you're gonna, the directions are listed at the top of the page. You're welcome. And basically, I'm going to show you a video clip with a funny comedian. His name is Mr. Bean. I don't know if you've heard of him before. But what you're going to do is fill in the blanks with the simple past or past participle form for each verb. So, for example, in the video, it will show a scene where, Mr. Bean is taking an exam, and he obviously didn't study for the exam. So the sentence is, if Mr. Bean had, and then the verb is study, so you want to say if Mr. Bean had studied, he would have done well on his test. Okay, so let's watch this Mr. Bean video. I hope the internet will work and cooperate. Oops. Oh. Oh, that's why it's not working. Oh. Yeah, oh, sorry.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, okay, thanks. I guess is it putting a block to accessing the internet?
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
We started out at the back of a borrowed van. A van that changed us and Chips forever.
Okay.
You may open the envelopes containing your papers. The exam starts now.
Can you hear it okay? Yeah? Okay. So there's a second part to this. So as you're watching the video, try to write down the answer.
Ladies and gentlemen. At the end, with those who answer the green calculus papers, please put them in the green box. And those who answer the white trigonometry papers, please put them in the white box. Stop writing, please. I said stop writing. Will you stop writing?
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I like Mr. Bean, he's really funny. Okay, so let me go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so did you guys finish filling out the worksheet?
Just 5 more seconds till snack time.
Okay. Okay. So I'll let you. Do you need about a minute or so to fill it? Yeah, it looks like you're still writing. Okay. How's it going over here? Do you have any questions? Okay, all right. We're going to see the answers in a minute, so you can check your one. Okay, I'll give you like 10 more seconds. Okay, so are both of you finished? Well, anyways, even if you're not, it's okay. We'll look at the answers. So, okay, so these are the answers. So if Mr. Bean hadn't looked at his classmate's test, he wouldn't have cheated. If Mr. Bean's classmate had written the correct answer, he wouldn't have thrown away his paper. So as you can see, this is the past participle form of the verb write. Okay, and also thrown away is the past participle of throw away. If Mr. Bean had stayed in his chair, he wouldn't have bumped into his classmate. If Mr. Bean hadn't bumped into his classmate, he wouldn't have felt embarrassed. If Mr. Bean's classmate hadn't turned over his test paper, Mr. Bean wouldn't have blown underneath his classmate's exam to see the answers. And then the last part, if Mr. Bean had studied, he wouldn't have felt upset. If Mr. Bean had checked his envelope at the beginning of the test, he would have seen the white paper too. If Mr. Bean had seen both sheets of paper in the envelope, he wouldn't have forgotten to answer both the calculus and trigonometry questions. If Mr. Bean had had enough ink in his own pen, he wouldn't have taken his classmate's pen. So you notice here that there's had is repeated twice, but they have different meanings. So this is indicating the past perfect tense, and then this is to actually have ink within the pen. So had, so it's repeated. If Mr. Bean had planned his time better during the test, he wouldn't have run out of time towards the end. So I hope you enjoyed that video. It was really fun. So now we're going to do a class activity. I thought we were going to have more students, but we can just do this with 2 of you. So I have here, you're going to get into your pairs. And each pair will be given a stack of cards, and each person gets a phrase list. So, I printed way too many of these. But, oh. Okay, so, here's a phrase list. And what you're going to do is you're going to use these. Let me just give this to Marianne. You're welcome. And then there's some cards, but I'll just leave them over there so they can use them. Okay, so you're going to shuffle the cards. So here you have some cards. So you basically just want to take one of each. Well, I mean, there is one of each. They're just in stacks, but you can just use, just put these face down. Or, you can just put them on the table like this in any order. And you can randomly choose them. Thank you. Yeah, and then you can, you can randomly choose them. So, so you shuffle the cards face down in the pile, and then each card has a problematic situation. So, for example, your computer got a virus. So you have to try to, one at a time, so each of you are going to take a card from the top of the pile and think about what caused the problem. So, oh no, my computer got a virus. Maybe I should have, purchased some whatever it's called, anti-malware or something like that. So I should have, gotten some computer, I should have fixed my computer earlier. So you're going to try to use these phrases to express your regret about not doing what you should have done to prevent your computer from getting a virus. So you're gonna go one at a time. Each of you are gonna, so like you can go first, Bob, and then Meg, and you can just amongst yourselves just like discuss. Try using as many of these phrases as you can.
I do one time?
Yeah, you can use one, you can use all of them, however you want to express, you know, if I would suggest maybe one or two or three, if you can use three. So, yeah, so go ahead and choose one of the, and actually, if you, okay, great.
I want to play.
Yeah, okay, great. It's fun actually, so, okay. So who wants to go first? Okay, Meg will go first. Okay, so don't, and I forgot to mention, don't tell the person what the problem is. So the person has to guess, because based on your expressions of regret, you have to try to guess what the problem is. Okay, so. Do you want to go first, or I don't know, whoever has more of an understanding can go first. Okay, yeah, so maybe we'll do, yeah, sure, thank you.
Okay. If I had been a better girlfriend,
Oh.
he wouldn't have left.
Oh.
So what happened? If I had been a better girlfriend, he wouldn't have left. So what do you think happened to me?
Cheat. Oh.
Maybe he cheated.
Yeah.
My boyfriend cheated.
Oh. Good answer, okay. So who's next?
Okay, so if I had checked Mark Miller, I
I wouldn't have, okay, so something
accident.
Okay.
Someone's accident. Yeah.
Oh, good job. Okay. All right.
I haven't eat hamburger every day.
If I hadn't eaten, good. Yeah.
I would not.
Okay. Oh.
I would not what?
I would not have an ugly body.
Oh, okay. I would not have an ugly body.
Oh.
Okay.
You got thought you were getting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She gained weight. Oh no. Okay. All right. Okay.
So these are all the
Oh.
same. So could I?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. They're each supposed to just be like. I thought there was gonna be more students, but we're just taking like just the one.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
one of the ones.
Okay.
Paper clips.
Oh, if I had written down the date, I wouldn't have forgotten. Wait a second. If I had written down the date, my friend wouldn't be sad on her birthday.
Oh.
You forgot her birthday.
I forgot her birthday.
Oh no.
Okay, so if I had studied more, I wouldn't get the
Oh no.
English for English test.
Right. Oh, so you got a bad grade.
Yeah, and also I failed.
Oh
Steve.
no.
Yeah.
If I hadn't late,
If I hadn't been late
been late,
or arrived late,
or
I would have worked there. Or maybe I would have worked there. Okay. All right.
Did you get fired?
Oh.
So you would say, I would still work there.
Right.
If I hadn't been late, I would still work there.
Yeah. Good. Okay. I guess I can do one. All right. Let's see here. Oh. Well. If I hadn't been so forgetful, I would have been able to open the door to my house. If I, or wait, I have to do this question. Okay. I wish that I hadn't misplaced my purse because now I can't go home. Let's see. What else? Yes, very good. Good job. Okay. Who wants to go next? Okay.
If I had woke up.
Oh, if I hadn't woken up? Or if I had woken
If
up?
I had woken up.
Okay.
Early in the morning.
Yeah.
I hadn't missed class.
Okay. And you
Yeah, missed class, but and on the way
yeah.
I missed something, and I need to get the other like a late
Yeah.
bus, you know.
Oh,
you missed the bus.
Yes.
Oh no. Okay. So, Meg, do you want to go next?
If I had say sorry to my friend, my friend would not. If I say so, if I had
said,
said
or if I had apologized.
apologize to my best friend, we have still been best friend.
Okay, we would still be best friends. Okay. So, any idea? So something bad happened between you and your best friend?
You fired.
Fired from
You got fired?
That's funny.
So you and your friend aren't friends anymore.
Okay. So you got into a fight? You got into an argument?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you got into an argument. Alright.
Okay, this is a good one.
If I hadn't bought the new iPhone, I would have enough money to eat.
Overspending on stuff that's not necessary.
Yeah.
I just don't have any money.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead, yeah.
If I had stretched before I work out, I wouldn't have been how do you say, like I wouldn't have bad legs.
Okay.
You broke.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Kind of like hard to change the words.
Yeah. So is it broke your leg?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe something I would say is like, if I hadn't fallen down the hill while I was skiing, I wouldn't have broken my leg or something. You could just make up the situation. Yeah, that was good though. Yeah, very good. Okay. Does anyone want to go next? Meg, do you want to go next? We just have a few more to say.
If I had driven car,
Okay.
more gentle,
Okay, more gentle or more gently. Good. Okay.
my car would not be
Broken. Okay. So something happened to your car.
Did you have a car accident?
Or you hit it.
yeah, the crash.
Our crash. I see. Alright. So I guess we have about like 5 words. Alright, well, you feel more confident. It sounds like you improved a little bit with your ability to use the conditional form in a few situations. So that's good. And you're welcome to keep these handouts. Yeah, alright, well, good job. You're welcome.